everybody. This is my second time trying to do this video, but it's all good. I wanted to come to y'all today and do a testimonial, so that way we can get to know each other a little better. For those of you who don't know me, you will get to know me and a little more about me. And for those of you who do know me, you can get to know a little bit more about me. Yesterday I was, just out and about running some errands with hubby. And excuse me, my phone is making noises. And the Holy Spirit was talking to me about these videos, because they be on my mind a whole lot about, what next to do, Lord, what next to do, what next to do, what do your people need. It's easy for me to give you something that I want to give you, but I don't want to do that. I want to give you something that you need, something that the Spirit needs, so that way you can grow and learn and get more in touch with God and grow in your walk with God. And he was letting me know that it's important for me to allow y'all to get to know me and where I've been, where I'm from, and just connect, because it's hard to receive from a person if you really don't know them and you really don't know where they've been or what they've gone through. And when I was in the world, people used to come and they would come and witness to us. And I really wouldn't receive pretty much nothing they were saying. I listened to them out of respect, but as far as just really taking it in my heart and really trying to change, I really wasn't trying to hear it, because I felt like they didn't know where I come from. They didn't know, what I go through on an everyday basis. So I don't want our relationship to be like that. I want an actual relationship between you and I. And so I want to just come to you and tell you a little bit about myself, I'm sorry, I've been eating candy. A little bit about myself and a little bit about some of the things that I've gone through in life. I was, as you already know probably, that my name is Gaynell Stevens. I was born in Bogalusa, Louisiana, in St. Tammany Parish, originally. And I moved to Bay St. Louis, Mississippi between the ages of 2 and 4 with my mother. She was a single parent. And we moved down there, and I lived all the way all over the Mississippi Gulf Coast, from Waveland to Biloxi. So every city in between there I've lived in. Waveland, Bay St. Louis, Long Beach, Pass Christian, Gulfport, Biloxi. I haven't been in DeLille or any of those other places like that, but just down along the coast, the Gulf Coast. And my basic place of residency is back of town, Sycamore Street. I was raised there. That's where I spend all my time. And if you catch me visiting home, that's where you will find me indefinitely. That's where I go. I don't go anywhere else. That's where I'm at. So my grandmother partially raised me and my sister. My sister basically lived with my grandmother. We was raised in a family that, sad to say, that had favorites, and I was not one of the favorites out of my mom's children. My sister was. And so I experienced a lot of things that, a lot of people didn't really even, know. Some people knew, but a lot of people didn't know a lot of the things that I went through or experienced or even done, because I was so good at hiding things. At the age of 16 to 17, I had my first child. And after having my first child, a year after having her, my mom decided she wanted to leave. So she packed up her belongings and she moved out without telling us. She just moved out, which wasn't a problem with my sister, because she already lived with my grandmother. But I lived at home with mom. So I come home one day and she have all her stuff packed, and I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? And she was like, well, I'm moving. And that was it. It was just me and my daughter at the time. We was on our own, and basically at that moment homeless. So I thank God for the landlord that was there. She told me if I get the deposit up, that she would, allow me to stay in the apartment. So I went out and I hustled. I hustled my butt off, and I went out and hustled and got the money up. And from then on out, it was a survival of the fittest. Only the strong survive. I had to do what I had to do, as far as taking care of my daughter. A lot of the relationships that I was only in because of a means of survival. And I'm not going to lie to you. I got to be real, because, if you're going to touch people's lives, you have to be real and you have to be honest about everything. I went with a lot of the guys I went with, I only dealt with because I knew that I could get what I want, and I needed. My mom was not the type of grandparent that If you need diapers, you can go to and say, Mom, I don't have no money right now. I need you. Could you let me borrow such and such to buy diapers? It was not any of that. You're going to take care of it. That's your problem. That's your responsibility, and you deal with it. I'm not doing anything. And she didn't. She did not do anything. So she never bought a pack of Pampers. She never bought, things like that. She didn't. I was on my own, so I did what I had to do. And so I ended up in the apartment, and I stayed there, and had guys around my child, which I shouldn't have done. At a young age, you don't know God, and you're doing in and everything. And at that same time, in that time frame, that's when I started doing drugs. I smoked weed, and that was a start. I also at that time frame was in heavy in gangs. I was I wasn't like a fledgling in the gangs. I was actually the G queen of a gang, and I got jumped in Picayune, and that's where the people who I dealt with, that's where they were from, and that's where they were at, in Picayune. So a lot of the things that I had done and was doing was kind of secretive on my end, because I wasn't doing it at home. I was away doing things. But, it wasn't a good thing for me to be in. And I stayed in that until I had my third child. I stayed in the gang until I had my third child. And by the time I had my second child, I tried to go, well, my first child, I tried to go back to school, because in the 10th grade I got pregnant or whatever, and I ended up, my mom made me quit, and I couldn't go back to school. She took my baby out, and she would not allow me to go back to school at all. And I had good grades, I made who's who in high school, America's high school students 2 years in a row. Even after I had left school, the awards and stuff kept coming because of my grade point average. But she wouldn't allow me to go back, so I had to stay home and raise my daughter. And then I ended up having another child, which was planned. This was a planned pregnancy, but as you very well know, it never goes according to plan. I ended up a single parent, and I wanted to really go get my GED and finish my education. And they would tell me, that you never make it, you can't do it, you got 2 children, you're not going to be able to do it. So I went and done it. I sure did. I went and got my GED. I went to classes for a little while. I went and took my test, passed it the first time, and when I passed it, I went and got copies of it made and put it on my mother's wall and put it on my grandmother's wall, so that they could see that I did exactly what you said I couldn't do. So after that, I ended up, before I had my son, I ended up in a relationship with the man, my first husband. And I knew from the beginning that I should not have done that. God gave me every sign. The cake we had, it was a 3-tier heart-shaped cake. Every heart on that tier was cracked down the middle. If that wasn't a sign from God, there wasn't no signs to be had. That happened. I got in front of the altar and couldn't say the vows. I stood there for at least 5 minutes with nothing to be said. The man was drunk at the altar. I mean, everything in that lined up to say, Gaynell, do not do this. And I did it anyway, to please people. My advice to you is, do not ever do anything to please someone else, because you're going to be miserable. I ended up in the relationship, in the marriage or whatever. It was not a healthy marriage. It was an abusive marriage. Things happened. I got my finger broke. Let me see which one. My finger broke in 2 places on this hand, and well, you can't even see that. I'm sorry. You see how all of them, hold on, let me see. This hand right here, this finger right here was broke here, and my hand has never been the same. So I went through things, and in that marriage, I ended up going from weed to higher drugs because of the things that I went through in the marriage, the hell that I went through in the marriage. And I went from drugs to powder cocaine. I ended up with in a relationship with a woman for 2 years. In the midst of it, our first year of marriage, we ended up separated. Well, we ended up, I finally let this guy into my life. I ended up in the apartment that I had been in for 10 years, and when he came along, I went legit. I put him on the lease and everything, and we were together and everything. But when, push come to shove, he wasn't ready to settle down and really get to the point to where he was supposed to be. And he decided he wanted to leave, so he left. He left and didn't pay rent, didn't pay nothing, and I ended up losing my apartments. So as losing my apartment, here I got myself and 3 kids again. No home, no nothing. So I ended up, you know, getting with this girl, and we ended up in a relationship for 2.5 years, and that was, for me, it's something that I shouldn't have never done. That's why nobody can tell me, and you can get as mad as you want to, but I'm gonna be real with you, because that's just who I am. Homosexuality is not a trait that you are born with. That's a lie from the pits of hell. You are not born a homosexual. God is perfect in all his ways. Not only is he perfect in all his ways, but everything he does is perfection. And if there's a problem in it, it's in it itself. It's not in God. Homosexuality is a spirit. It can come and it will go if you tell it to. I am a living witness. And I'm going to get close. I'm a living witness that it will come and go. It came into my life. I accepted it when it came. I opened the door to it. But when I got sick and tired of being sick and tired and dealing with this lifestyle, I shut the door. I made that choice, and that spirit left. Now, mind you, now it come back the same way the Bible say. When you bind a strong man and he leaves, don't let him back in, because he'll bring 7 more demons more stronger than what it was before. It came back, and it will try you. Like everything else that is a spirit, it'll come back and try you. And if you do not stand at that time where you are being tried, that spirit and the 7 more that's with it will come back. And then you'll be more bound than you were before. But that's something else. I don't want to even go into that. But I did that. And, you know, I ended up basically losing it. I lost it. You know, I lost it, really seriously lost it. I ended up in Gulf Coast Mental Health on medication. I had to go through therapy, and I had a nervous breakdown. You know, I had a nervous breakdown. I was doing powder cocaine and got to the point to where, you know, I just really didn't want to live. I was tired. I was sick and tired. So I ended up, my husband at the time ended up trying to get me back. It wasn't even I want you back because I love you. It was I want you back because this is what I want, and you're going to do what I say do. So me being weak and not knowing any better, I am frightful. I wasn't who I am now today. I promise you, all this boldness is nothing but God. It did not come in me like that then. We went, and I ended up in Long Beach living in a trailer park, and this trailer park is where I started doing crack cocaine. I deliberately started smoking crack cocaine as a means to an end. It was not to get high, because I couldn't get no high. It was, you know what, nobody cares, I don't care. I'm going to fix you, and I'm going to fix everybody else too. I'm going to OD, and I'm through with this. So every day I intended on dying. I prayed and hoped to die. This is something that is true. I'm not lying to you. If I'm lying, God already knows. And I used to do this, and I would tell this man, you know, this is the reason why I'm doing this. And he was so selfish to, well, you don't put that on me. That's the excuse you use, and you're doing it because you want to do it. And I used to sit there and just plot, you know, and plot and plot and plot suicide. And God would always tell me now, mind you, in the midst of all this, he will always speak to you. He will tell me, you know, I don't know why you're doing that. He's not even worth it. You're going to do something like that, and it's still not going to change anything. He's not even worth it. But I wasn't trying to hear that. I kept on and kept on. And one night, this was my birthday night. My birthday to myself was, I'm just going to get it done, and I'm going to end it all together. And I'm not going to, you know, go through this anymore. So I went and I bought a cookie, a whole cookie. I bought an 8-ball of powder, and I had pills, and I had liquor. I did every last thing that I had in my capacity to do. I did it. And that night I could feel my heart stopping. I could feel myself slowing. My heart racing and start fluttering and stopping. And I laid down on the floor. I was laying on the floor. And when I laid down, I passed out. You know, everything just went black. And God came to me. He said, He said, you might as well go ahead and quit, because you're not going nowhere until I get ready for you to go. And at that instant, when he said that, I woke up completely sober. Oh my God, was I mad? I was angry. I was crying. I got up and scooted back in the corner of the room, and it was dark in the room. I was mad, and I was talking to God. I'm like, why? You know, I'm hollering, and, you know, why, Lord, why? I don't want to be here. I don't know why you keep me here. It's not fair. Nobody cares, you know. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Nobody cares, you know, and he told me, he said, it doesn't matter if nobody cares about you. I love you. And as long as I love you, that's all that matters. Now, I put you here for a purpose, and you're going to walk out the purpose that I put in your life. And from that moment on, I started living for the love of God. It's different than living for people and their love.